Ian from RTO here. Welcome to another album ranking, and today we're sort of carrying on a bit of a story that we started with when we did Jeff Lynne and the Electric Light Orchestra, ELO. But this is Elo Part 2. Now, how did Elo Part 2 come about? Well, it was put together by the co-founder Bev Bevan, the drummer, and during its period it also had Mick Kaminsky, who obviously used to play the violin, and Kelly Grouchka or Grocott, whatever you want to pronounce it, on the bass, and he also got Lewis Clark, who did a lot of the orchestral arrangements on ELO albums. He was the man behind the orchestral on El Dorado, and he actually went on to do the Hooked On Classics. So how did it all happen? Well, back in 1988 Bev Bevan approached Mr. Jeff Lynne and said he wanted to record another ELO album, but Lynne declined this to participate. I think at the time Jeff was very busy doing other stuff and production. So he did say to Jeff, "Look, I want to carry on without him." And Jeff Lynne said, "Okay, but you can't use the name ELO." So they sort of sat down like sensible people, and what came out of it that ELO was officially disbanded, and then Bevan formed a new band called the Electric Light Orchestra Part 2. But there's another term of agreement in the agreement that Lynne said he'd get a percentage of the ELO Part 2's record royalties, and they thought, okay, that was okay. They also asked Roy Wood, but he said no. So he put a completely new band together of Eric Troyer, Peter Haycock on keyboards and guitars, and Neil Lockwood on guitars. They did get John Payne, who went on to do Asia, but he obviously went to join Asia. And Jim Steinman was also in the frame at the beginning, but he sort of said he was in and then he came out, and then it was him that suggested his friend Troyer as a possible member. They made 2 albums, and then Bev had enough by 1999, and he sold his half of the rights to ELO back to Jeff Lynne. So the band had to change their name to the Orchestra, and they released an album, and we will be looking at that at a later date. So let's have a look at these 2 albums that ELO Part 2 made. So coming in at number 2, we have the debut album, basically just called ELO Part 2, released in 1991. So on the band at this time was Bev Bevan on drums and percussion, Eric Troyer on keyboards, backing vocals and lead vocals, Peter Haycock guitars, bass, backing vocals and lead vocals, Neil Lockwood lead vocals and backing vocals, and the additional personnel on this album was Lewis Clark on string arrangements and Mick Kaminsky on the violin on the track Heartbreaker. Okay, the first track on here is called Hello. It's okay, it's a little bit cheesy. I'm out on that one. It's not a track that I definitely don't go, "Whoa, that's good," even though it's only a short track. It's one that I really go, yeah, okay. Okay, the next track is called Honest Men. Okay, you can tell it's sort of that ELO sound. You've got that really strong drumming of Bev. It really comes across in this. He's a great drummer, is Bev. It's an actually pleasant track. I don't mind it at all. Every Night. Forget this. This is just. It doesn't even sound like they're trying to get that ELO sound, I'm afraid. It's just a poppy track. It doesn't do anything for me. Once Upon a Time. Again, it's sort of in the vein of ELO. When you listen to it, you go, oh, is that an ELO track? It's got that vibe to it. That's what I'll say. Then we get Heartbreaker. Now this is brilliant. For a start, we've got Mick on the violin. Lewis Clark is doing the strings. It really has got that ELO feel that you got from El Dorado. And again, the drumming on this from Bev is great. It is a really good track. It is my favourite track on the album. Then we get 1,000 Eyes. This is just a bit wishy-washy. It's got nothing to do with ELO sound. It's just not very good. Then we get For the Love of a Woman. I think Eric Troy is trying to sound like Jeff a bit, and it didn't work. It's a pretty poor track, actually. I'm not very keen on it. Kiss Me Red, again, it's just not. It doesn't sound ELO at all. Didn't do nothing for me. Hearts of Hearts. It's a poppy sort of track, but it has got them little flanges of ELO. That sound, that nice orchestral bit what we all come to love. It's okay. Easy Street. This is really, really good. It's a good little rock number. Certainly got that ELO feel to it. The strings work. One of the better tracks on the album. Okay, it's an okay album, although it has got some wishy-washy tracks on it. I brought it because it was Bev Bevan, and to be quite honest, it's an album I don't reach for very much. But I've listened to it again. There are some really good tracks on it. I think there's about 3 out of the 10. There's about 4 tracks that are really strong. For that reason, on them 4 tracks alone, I'm going to give it a 6 out of 10 ranking, because I just love Bev Bevan's drumming, and Heartbreaker is a fantastic track. Okay, so coming at number 1, because there's only 2, it's the final album, released in 1994, The Moment of Truth. By this time, they had got Kelly Grouchcut on board, so you've got 3 members of ELO now, plus Lewis Clark, and you can tell the difference. Kelly's input on this album was so important. They used one of his tracks that he put on an EP called We Love Animals, which is on this track album, and it's pretty good. So the lineup for this version is different from the first one, and I saw them on this tour, and I thought they were very good live. Very, very good. So we've got Bev Bevan on the drums, Eric Troyer on the keyboards, Phil Bates on guitar and vocals and lead vocals, Kelly Grouchcut on the bass vocals and lead vocals, Mick Kaminsky on the violin, he's actually in the band now, Lewis Clark doing his orchestral keyboards and arrangements. Got some extra percussion from Hassan Ramsey. Some of the strings are done by the London Session Orchestra led by Gavin Wright, with the help of Lewis Clark, of course. So the first track on this is called The Moment of Truth Overture. Wow, does this sound good? It is just orchestral, but it could have been on Eldorado. You can tell that Lewis Clark has had his paws in this one. It is very good. It's written by Lewis Clark. I like it. It's 4 minutes of just great, soothing orchestral pop that Lewis Clark is very, very good at. Then we get Breaking Down the Walls, solid enough track. Definitely got that ELO vibe to this one. I do like that track. Like A Power of a Million Lights. Again, it's got that. It's certainly got the vibe of ELO. I think having Kelly and Bev in the engine room on this album gave it a little bit more edge than the debut album, and it's a great song. Interlude 3, it's 32 seconds of a little run by Lewis Clark. It's okay. Okay, then we get a track called One More Tomorrow. It's a ballad. Great vocal. I can't remember who sang it, but what they did this actually when I saw them. It's terrific. Really good track. Love that one. No, it's okay. I tell you what it reminds me of. It reminds me of Need Your Love, that sort of thing. Very powerful vocal. Then we Don't Wanna. This is a bit of a sort of Don't Bring Me Down start. Thumping drums from Bev on this. Plays his socks off. Pretty good. Then we get Voices. Yeah, Mick Kaminsky. He was in a band called Varlinsky, which I am going to be reviewing at some stage. It's a weird and wonderful album, which Mick Kaminsky was certainly out there. Not my cup of tea at all, that track. Then we get Interlude 2. Okay, 20 seconds of string. I don't know what it's there for, but it sort of leads nicely into a track called The Fox, which is written by Kelly from one of his EPs. This is great vocal from Kelly. I like that track. Then we get Love or Money. What can I say about this? It is a very good track. It's definitely in the vein of ELO. All that was missing on this track was Jeff Lynne, really. But it's a really good track. Then we get Blue Violin. This is Mick Kaminsky's showboating. It's just great. He's a phenomenal violin player, as Mick Kaminsky. Terrific little bit. It's only 1 minute 10, but it's a bit of fun. Then we get Whiskey Girls, my favourite track on this album. Nice little rocker this is. Great drumming from Bev. He hits them drums so hard. It's pretty good. Then we get Interlude 1, more strings from Lewis, which goes nicely into The Twist of a Knife, another good song. Great vocal from Kelly. I love that track. Then we get So Glad You Said Goodbye. That's alright. Not the best track. Underture, certainly ELO. You can tell that the people who put this track together are Bev and Kelly Grouchka and Lewis Clark. Very, very good. Then the leaving is just like a bye, see ya sort of thing. Pointless. Okay, this certainly is a better album than the first one. As I said, the involvement of Kelly Grouchka, I can never pronounce his name, had so much influence on this album. It's a very good album to listen to. I don't mind this one at all. I do play this one more than the debut. It's better produced. The other one, this first album, the production was not as good as this. This is much better. Lewis Clark had a lot of influence on this one, I think, more than the other one. So I'm going to give this an RTO ranking of 7 out of 10. Okay, I know there's going to be people that will say, oh, the Centre Yellow, Jeff Lynne's not in it, blah, blah, blah. Usual sort of people that like poo-pooing songs. But at the end of the day, if Bev wanted to carry on, it's not like Jeff, he didn't want to do it, but he didn't mind Bev doing it. Okay, he got an absolutely right. If you're going to play the classic ELO songs, which they did, of course Jeff should get some money for it. You know, he wrote the songs, but it was at the time there was no, ELO had finished, so this was the only thing he was going to get. And the concert I went to, they were great. If you look at any videos of these during the, you know, in this era, they were always packed out, and people just love the music of ELO. I do. When they did, like, you know, on the live stuff, you know, they're standing in the rain, they own them. That was superb. But that's for another show, because I am actually going to do a live album thing on the ELO family. I'm going to put all the ELO together and Part Two and the orchestra, and just put them all together and celebrate live Electric Light Orchestra music. So that's all for this one. Got retro ranking today. Obviously it's a very special one. It's a tribute to Gary Brooker, keyboardist and vocalist from Procol Harum. I'll be picking my favourite songs by Procol Harum and a few honourable mentions, so join me for that one. I'll see you later.